Good.
So I'm in the headspace of just, it'd be really hard, but that dream of doing the Christmas show felt impossible. And like, I think God is literally like daring me to dream bigger with things. And when he wants to do something, there's not a human that can stop what he wants to do.
I'm Andy Erwin, and this is the Storytellers. Coming up on this edition of the Storytellers, I'm actually geeking out about this a little bit. This guy and I have been friends for years, but I've loved his music for the longest time. Talking about Tommee Profitt. And Tommee, legendary composer and producer, has done amazing things with artists like NF. It's just love the music that he's created. He's also just the king of these cinematic cover songs. And has done his cover of In the End absolutely broke Spotify. It was amazing to kind of see that happen. But the thing he's gotten known for of late is these albums he's done around Christmas. He did this album called The Birth of the King that has been huge, sold out, Bridgestone Arena in Nashville. It was amazing this past year. But he's also got a new album he's working on called The Resurrection of the King. And I am thrilled and kind of just eagerly awaiting to hear it. How it ties into I Can Only Imagine. Two is we did the trailerized version of Even If, and Tommee was my first call of you have to do the trailer song. And it's amazing. I love it. I'm a huge fan of what he created. We used it in the trailer. But then also on the show today, you're in for a little treat because we're going to debut hearing the full trailerized version of the song for Even If. So it's gonna be epic. But without further ado, would you please welcome my guest, the one and only Tommee Profitt. All right, on the show today, I'm excited. We have the one and only, the cinematic king of cover songs.
Oh man,
Tommee Profitt. Welcome to the Storytellers.
how are you doing, man?
Dude, it's good to have you. We're
Thanks
just
for having
talking.
me.
We're like the thing I love about you, like, is you're like the king of like cinematic, unexpected songs. Like if it's expected, it's not Tommee Profitt. If it's like a dark cover of Ring Around the Rosie, like in a cinematic version.
I have one of those in the works.
I know
actually.
you probably do. You probably do. I was listening to like even your wedding songs and it got to like Kiss the Girl or something like that, and I was just like, this is the best cover ever. It's like a dark cover of it, and you're so good at like how you kind of imagine music. But you and I kind of live in parallel universes. You're just saying you're on a crazy deadline right now. I'm on crazy deadlines. We're not sleeping. Like, how do we live in the same world?
Yeah, I know. We're both finishing up huge projects at the same time, and it was fun that we got to do a project together for
the
yours
movie.
as well too. Yeah, I'm excited. about
We'll
that.
get into that in a second. It was cool.
Yeah.
I love the journey that I think our journeys have been very, very parallel in certain ways, except yours has involved filling arenas like at Bridgestone, which has been amazing to see where your brand has grown. But the other thing I love about you is being at your studio. You're secretly, I think, Batman, and like
I want to be. There's a difference.
There's no want about it. Like it's like you've never actually denied it, and so between like when I walk into your place, it's like it's got like busts of the Joker. It feels like the Bat Cave. What's your obsession with Batman? What do you love about Batman?
I don't know. I've never unpacked that. That's a good question. Huh. Really what it is when I was a kid, like I always spent all my time in my parents' dark, unfinished cement basement.
No.
That's where I made...
You're a Batman.
No, but that's like where I made all of my music as a kid. And
Seriously?
I would sit down there with headphones on and produce tracks and make music and play the piano and all that stuff. And it was just like a dark, damp, cold atmosphere. And it was very recently, actually, when I built our new house a few years ago and like built this studio, that I like recreated that childhood atmosphere. Is that what it was? Without realizing it.
No joke.
I like dark cement damp spaces because even when I'm not in the studio working, if I go anywhere, it's usually to a movie theater, which is another dark room. It's just, I don't know what that is. But yeah, I'm just comfortable working in a space that feels cave-ish. And I'm in there for, 10, 12 hours a day. So like, I just kind of have to be in a habitat like that in order to
You lose touch with what time of day it is or any of that?
completely. A lot of times I go in the morning when it's still dark out.
Yeah.
And then when I come out, it's dark.
Yeah.
So like I never
Lose touch with
saw
reality.
the sun at all. I don't even know what the weather was like the whole day. You know?
Dude, that's so
I don't
great.
I'm very indoorsy.
That's so great.
That's very true.
I love that about you. So for you with the idea of this cinematic music that you've kind of developed over the years, what was your first experience with like a movie that captivated you? Like what was the first one that was yours?
It's actually a trailer.
A trailer.
Trailer music captured me.
What?
It's the very first Spider-Man movie with Tobey Maguire. It was a 2000, I think.
Uh-huh.
So I would have been about 15, 16 years old.
Was it a Danny Elfman track or what was it?
Nope. It was a immediate music licensed track called Lacrimosa. And it was like when trailer music shifted to like what we know it as. I mean, it's shifted more now since obviously, but like driving strings, 6/8 time, the choir, it's like that. And I was like watching these fast clips of Spider-Man swinging and all this action to this track, and I was like, that's just the sickest music. I mean, it gives you adrenaline. It gives the footage adrenaline. Like it's, you know what I mean? But I never thought truly that I would have an opportunity to make that music or have an outlet for it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Everything I've ever made always had a little bit of a cinematic sound to it. I don't know. That's just intrinsically what comes out of me.
Right.
But when I saw that trailer, I think that just like, I started listening to trailer music in my car.
That's so cool.
Like on the way to school, when I'm driving places, I would listen to trailer music. And so all of my friends, they're like talking about these bands on the radio. And like, I didn't even know who they were or what was going on in the industry. It was like, yeah, have you guys heard the new trailer track from Immediate Music?
It's incredible.
And I just always love it. And then I kind of got more into some soundtracks.
Yeah.
Like the Gone in 60 Seconds soundtrack.
It's a great soundtrack. Was that the one they did like a lot of Moby songs and different things on the...
They introduced a lot of electronic music into like orchestral score too. And Trevor Rabin did that in the Deep Blue Sea soundtrack. And I started in Transformers, Steve Jablonsky. Like I started listening to some of those and just the power of like brass and strings. You know what I mean? Like you can play dainty music with an orchestra, which is still beautiful and I like, or you can play like powerful music with an orchestra. Well, that was always what pulled me.
I always love also when things are grounded in like this cinematic orchestral bed, but something that has like a modern soul in the middle of it. So like I loved like what Daft Punk did with like the Tron Legacy soundtrack. And it was just like they work with a real composer, but he would come in and be like, I'm just here to tell what the robots want for the day. And so they'd come in and kind of come in with their electronic stuff and then just build out this soundscape that was just epic.
Dude, and the new Tron soundtrack.
Yeah, with Trent Reznor.
That was amazing.
Yeah.
They just crushed it. Yeah, so that was a very modern thing. A twist to a traditional movie score, just infusing some electronic elements and stuff.
So you're self-taught, like you started what were you like 12-ish?
Yeah, I started playing the piano when I was 8, and that was pretty much. I mean, I was like instantly hardcore in. I didn't even really ever touch a piano until I was 8, and my parents bought me a little keyboard for Christmas. And I was like, what is this thing? And I just loved it. And I would listen to the TV and like learn commercial jingles and, you know, things like TV show themes. And they couldn't get me off of the piano. I just played it all day long. And
so do you connect with music through a piano first? Because you're all, like even in your new live shows that you've done, it's like it's you on a baby grand piano and then an orchestra. Like, do you hear music through piano first?
Yes. Yeah, because then I went through classical training, you know, as I grew up and stuff. And so playing by ear is how I kind of learned, and then I've learned some of the Beethoven pieces and stuff, and so I'm very much a piano player in my thinking. So when I produce music, even strings and stuff now, I program it all on the piano. I'm playing all the parts. I'll play the violin and the cello and the brass, and I'll play it on a piano, and that just gives me like a whole visual perspective of the song right there at my fingertips. You know what I mean?
With how you saw things cinematically. And, you know, the fact that you're in this, you know, dark cave that we know is actually the Bat Cave.
Yeah.
And, you know, and deciding how you're going to fight crime as a superhero. But that's an aside. But for you, did you feel different in figuring like how does my voice fit? Like, was there anybody else like you that saw music through movies, or was it? How did you find your voice?
I just kind of always felt like I was going against the grain, and I've always had a machete in my hand trying to like carve a path that would work. When people would say, well, yeah, but people don't do that, and I've had to like, well, this is what I want to do,
Yeah.
And so even in producing songs for other artists, I remember at first, because I was doing cinematic music, and when artists would come in, like, this song would sound really good with strings. But I was always like apologetic and careful and like, are you good with strings? I don't want to just do it because I like strings, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I did that enough times where I realized someone finally said, Tommee, like, when people come to you, they're coming to you because they want you to do that, your thing, your cinematic thing. We want your strings.
Right.
We want your brass. So we would go to someone else if we didn't want you to make this feel cinematic. So I think that kind of just helped me. Instead of like, all right, this artist is in, I need to try to replicate what their producers do.
Mm-hmm.
I realized we're doing something new and they're here so that we can create a new thing that sounds like what I need to lean into my strength and not just try to produce something like someone else does. You know what I mean? So yeah, I don't know. Like, I guess the best way I can describe it too is kind of like, there's a lot of artists that are producer artists or DJ artists, right? Where they EDM producers especially, and they'll have featured vocalists on their songs. So it's kind of like I'm doing that, but instead of EDM music, it's movie music.
That's incredible.
Featured, so it's like a Hans Zimmer, mixed with a DJ producer kind of thing.
If Hans Zimmer was a hip hop artist, it would be like it's like
and then adding in hip hop elements and
beats. And that's the thing that is amazing about you to me is like, man, your strings arrangements are like the best I've heard. Like the way that you hear strings, like it's just the way you use the quick string. All of it is really amazing. And I remember we started going to the same church, and it's really hard to impress my son with friends. And you and I had kind of met each other and gotten to be friends a little bit, and then my son Isaac ran in one day at church. He's like, "Dad, that's Tommee Profitt." Just walked to the building. Oh Tommee Profitt. I'm like, "Yeah, I know." He's like, "No, it's Tommee Profitt." And so I got really excited to listen more and more of your music as we'd already kind of started being friends. When I started listening to stuff that you and NF did together, it was next level, and because it was so against the grain of what you think hip hop music would be, is like the anger and the rage of hip hop. With the lyrical of having something to say of what Nate had to say, mixed with your cinematic bed that always just felt like a movie.
Yeah.
And I'd never heard anything like that before. How did you and NF or Nate, how did you guys meet and decide to combine forces? What was that pairing like at first?
Well, it's funny because, obviously I've always done this like cinematic thing. I've loved putting beats over orchestra. I think that's just so sick and so good. And Nate's from Michigan, and so one of his friends who was like, they were in high school or something, he sent me an old like project that Nate did, and I was like, man, this guy's really good. I could make something. And so I just made a beat that happened to be cinematic, and just because that's what I do, and I put drums on it. It wasn't very good at all. Now in hindsight, we listen back, it's like that was really bad. But I sent it to him, and I didn't know this, but he loves movie scores and movie soundtracks too. And so I didn't even realize that. So when he like heard all this string stuff that I like to make and everything, it was just kind of a perfect pairing, because it's like I love putting beats over strings and he loves beats over strings. And so we're like, let's do something different. I mean, every hip hop to an extent could all sound the same. It's very
incredible.
Linear. There's not dynamic, there's not chord changes. It's a constant 808, and the beat kind of does some different stuff with the vocalist over it. And there's like 3 tracks total, And so we were making songs with 150 tracks or 200 tracks layered, for one song. And chord changes and the dynamic of the music was something kind of new to put over someone that was rapping like he can do, you know what I mean? And Even some songs he would sing and then he would rap. It was very different. He's a very unique artist as well. So I think it was unique music, unique artist with a unique message and a unique feel. And it just hit. It made a sound. You know what I mean?
It's like cinematic hip hop. Like, what is this? And did you guys get a lot of opposition or pushback at first for the music? And where was the breakout moment?
I don't think so. I think it was just a couple of years of discovery.
Got it.
And then his third album, Perception, just blew up.
Yeah.
I mean, that was the #1 Billboard album for him and for us. And then Let You Down was his big hit. That went to radio and #1. It was just like unforeseen. And, like, it's funny because, from my chair, I'm like working with a bunch of artists.
Right.
Doing stuff. Nate would come in and then another artist would come in and someone else. And I'm just constantly doing all these songs. So when Let You Down blew up and went #1, it had been 2 years since we made the song.
Wow.
Actually, like we recorded it and his album came out way later. And then it took a while for it to blow up. And so to me, like, 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And I've done 100 songs since then. I
For
was like,
sure.
That song is doing a thing right now. Like I just found out about it. So you're always really excited about your newest stuff.
Sure.
That was not even close to being, I'll say it this way. Like sometimes the songs that do the best, like aren't even like on your list of like top favorite things you've ever done. You're like, like, it's like, why is that song? Like I've had songs blow up even on like TikTok or go viral.
Right.
And they wouldn't even be on my list of like top favorite 30 things I've ever produced. You know what I mean? And it's like, why did that thing do a thing? It just connects with people. Some songs connect with people and you never know which one's going to do it. You know what I mean?
That's amazing.
It's wild.
Well, and I remember I went with my son to Bridgestone, and it's when the Hope album had come out.
Oh yeah.
And when I heard the Hope album, I texted you right away because there was a few tracks on there that were just perfection. Just perfection. Just the arrangement, the feel, the build, the crescendo, all of it was just perfection. And I fanboyed out a little bit. I was like, man, you just killed it, dude. And then I remember taking Isaac and his group of friends to Bridgestone, and we were sitting in the upper deck, and there was a bunch of us, and just watching it play for an arena. And it was kind of a moment. And there was a bunch of us that were friends of yours there, Mike Schweitzer and a bunch of us that were there, and we all had a text thread just like freaking out with each track live just felt bigger than the next.
Oh man.
But a lot of people don't know how challenging things can be behind the scenes of finding, something that can play like that. And I know that album was a pretty intense process for you guys. Like you guys worked on it for like forever. What was that like?
Forever. And it's funny because like when you first start making music with someone, like every single thing you make is fresh feeling because you hadn't done very much.
Right.
And by the time you're 5 albums in, 6 albums in, 80 songs or whatever, it's like, I think that's what it was. It was just like, how can we still make sure this sounds like some people would think we just want exactly what, like another album like the last one. But if you actually gave that to them,
right,
they'd be like, oh, well, we just heard this before. It doesn't.
Right.
So you have to kind of play that balance of like, this needs to feel familiar enough where it doesn't sound like a genre switch.
Yeah.
But there needs to be enough new and fresh elements so it feels like a new thing, something they've never heard from us. And sometimes, we were thinking at first it was like new instruments. We need to use an instrument we've never used before because piano and strings are in like everything, right?
Yeah.
And then we realized it's not really using new instruments. It's just playing the instruments that we have been using differently. You know? So do you know in Hope, like, for example, you know how in Hope, when he says like 30 years of it, whatever, and it's like the fast staccato-y piano. That was just like an interesting, like quick, short piano thing. I'm like, we've never done that. We've used piano in probably 50 songs, but we've never like quite played it like that. So you can get away with stretching how far you can use some of these chords and these instruments by just little tweaks like that. You know what I mean? That was the challenge.
Did that process ever get to where it was driving you crazy or frustrating, or were you like paralyzing? Like, what was the feelings in the midst of trying to find an album like that that's worthy of filling an arena?
Yeah, it was very hard.
Yeah.
It didn't feel like it just felt like we were just like dragging each other along to try to get to the finish line. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it was It was probably one of the most challenging projects that I've ever worked on. But the pressure was also higher than it's ever been.
Yeah.
You know, when you know that, hey, we're making the album that's going to be his first arena tour.
Yeah.
Before the album's done, they're planning an arena tour. It's like the kind of pressure that puts on someone is, you know, it's almost not healthy, because you're like, I have to make the best thing I've ever made. And it has to be worthy of wherever it's going afterwards. You know what I mean? And so you just kind of, you have all these mind games of like, this has to be the best thing. And I remember even when I moved to Nashville, I remember like, all right, so tomorrow morning at 10 a.m., you're going to meet with this huge artist and you guys have to write a hit. And it's like, tomorrow morning at 10 a.m., I have to be the most creative I've ever been. Like, you can't really schedule that. You know what I mean? Like, sometimes you're inspired in the moment. Or you wake up one day and you're just like, man, I'm just not feeling it. It's like, but you have this pressure of like, I can't feel that today. I'm going to meet with this person or that person. We got to be on. And it's like, you can't really schedule times of creative inspiration, you know? I think over the years I've learned how to navigate that and to like store it up and save it so it's there for me when it needs to be. I think that's the move. But at first, it was kind of like a new thing for me, and so I think that played a part in that project and several others too, where you're just like, the pressure is high.
In that pressure, have you ever hit a wall where you're like, I don't know if I can keep doing this, or a moment of dark night of the soul where you're like, I don't know if this is working for me? Has there ever been moments like that for you?
Yeah, but I'm also stubborn, and I also like am a perfectionist. Like, I want things to be good. Like, I'm not someone who can really just step out of things unless it's like, you know, for that project, like we were done and we were planning on having someone come in to help mix at the end process. And so, I did some mixing, which I had done previous all of his albums, but I think for that one, like, it was in a place where I was like, I felt like it was set for the next person to step in, which was planned. It wasn't, you know what I mean? I would have a hard time just like, you know, imagine you're making a movie and you're 3/4 of the way done with it. And all of a sudden you tell the crew and you're like, hey guys, I'm out. This is getting too hard. Like, you wouldn't do that, right?
Right.
Like, I can't do that. But yeah, I mean, there are a lot of artists though that are out there, and like, you know, the mixing and mastering process could go forever. I remember
tweak endlessly. Like,
I remember 10 years ago, I was working with this different rapper, and he was literally having me change volumes of every syllable in the song. And that's what compression is supposed to do, kind of bring, and I did that. But it was just like, it got to a point where I was like, hey man, we've been tweaking for 3 weeks on this one song. Like, it gets to a point where you're just changing. You can change things forever.
Right.
It doesn't mean it's getting better though.
Yeah, that's the part for me, is like the part that will paralyze you with this job in any creative position is the pursuit of perfection. You want to pursue quality, but perfection is unattainable.
Right.
Like, it's always. And part of what makes really great art great is that it has human flaws in it, like the imperfections. It's it's why vinyls are great to listen to. It's the crackle of the record. It's the imperfections that make it organic and feel real and like it feels human and not robotic.
Yeah.
And I think there comes a place where you have to allow yourself to permission that this is imperfect, and we want to chase making it better until we're just chasing making it different.
Right.
And when you're chasing making it different, then you just shut it down.
Well, and you can chase making it different literally forever.
Like, endlessly.
Just endlessly. change everything. You know?
And I think a lot of times that's out of insecurity of, I don't want to release it because I don't want to get judged for it. So it's just like, let's just keep messing with it.
Yeah.
And sometimes you have to be like, no, this is the beautiful flawed art that we've made, and it is the highest quality it's going to be.
Yeah. And I think about it for my job, like, I have, this is a confession here.
Yeah.
Hot take right now.
Just me, you, and the audience.
I have like 30 terabytes of sounds. that I use. That's way too many.
Wow.
I have sound libraries that I bought.
You're a sound hoarder.
I haven't even. Yes, I am a sound hoarder. But at first, I think it was like a comfort thing. Like when I first started, I was like, I just need to make sure I never run out of inspiration for a new sound. I want them on deck. Like I won't even use them now, but just later, right?
Yep.
And then it became like I'm a collector. You've seen my studio.
Oh yeah,
You're talking about these
very much collector.
All these. It's like a weird museum, right?
Graphic novels and like full superheroes. It's all there.
I collect things. I've always been that way since I was a kid. I'm a collector, and so now when there's like a new string library that comes out, like I get it. From
whether you need it or not.
I don't even listen to what it sounds like. I just know, like, well, I don't have that one.
Dude, I do the same thing. I think we're the same person. Not with the strings library, but like collecting things. I'll get on a kick and I'll be like, I need these things because they kind of complete this story that I'm telling, the set.
Right.
And like one of the things I do is anytime I work with an actor, I have to go find an action figure of them. And I put it on my shelf, and it's the weirdest thing ever. But it's my little shop of curiosities. You should keep that one inside. Yeah, exactly. That's confessions. I thought it was a safe place. Now you're judging me.
No, it's funny. No. Like you have your actor friends come over, and they
why is there an action?
Why do you have a
figure
statue of me?
Yeah,
in your
exactly. I've got, and some of them are aspirational. I haven't worked with yet, but I've got kind of my shelf of all these people I've worked with, and so it's that collector in me that just loves to tell a story.
So here's where I was going with that is like the danger with collecting is that I have, I don't know, 2 million snare sounds. So when you're making a song, like this is what I've forced myself to do this. I think I've had to do this. When I'm making a song, like I can't listen to every single one of those snares. I'm spending 3 years choosing a snare song for one song.
Yeah.
And then, all right, I've got my favorites. I've whittled it down to 18,000, right? And then you're like, I can't listen to every possibility. So when you're making a song, what I've had to do is I can't entertain every single possibility to pick the best one.
Right.
I just need to like, hey, that snare sounds great.
Yep.
Is there another snare that would sound different? Yeah. Would it? But this sounds great, and just keep moving forward and keep having progress. And I feel like I need progress to feel like it's not turning into like an OCD battle where I'm like I'm just not doing anything. I've worked on this for a month, and I'm back farther than when I started. You know what I mean? And so along the process, that's what I do to fight perfectionism. I'm like, that's great. That's great. Is the mix perfect? No, but it's great. It's good. I'd rather get more things out into the world than to wait for that one perfect thing that I'll never be able to attain, so I won't put out anything.
And we're the beneficiary of that 30 terabyte hard drive because we were hanging out one night, and there was a group of us that we just hang out and sit around a campfire and we'll share stories, and we're all creatives.
Yeah.
And when we started this podcast, I was like, man, I need a theme song. And so I was like, Tommee, like, I don't want to be that guy, but do you have like, do you have a scrap bin that like is buried way back in the back of something that's never going to be released that I can buy? And can I just listen to your discards? Because your discards is like shopping, like going dumpster diving at Gucci. It's like,
oh my gosh.
It's like out back. It's like, yeah, it might be in a dumpster, but this is quality crap. And so you're like, yeah, here. So you sent me some links to like some of the stuff that you had on like Dropbox or whatever, and I looked through it, and there's like 10 or 15 great options. So I found this one, Twisted Rooster, that we use as our theme song, and I'm like,
have you said the name on the show before?
No, I haven't.
Twisted Rooster.
Twisted Rooster. Where did that come from?
I'll tell you.
Okay.
Well, not that Twisted Rooster itself has, dude. I have a really weird side to me.
Oh yeah.
When I was a kid, I could share stories right now, but I was just a weird kid. I was like, the Tom Green show on MTV back in the day. I like that. He was my spirit animal. Like I was like, yes, that's like my kind of humor.
That's great.
So this is tame compared to some other things, but when I make a new track, I just choose a random name for it.
That's incredible.
And it obviously doesn't end up getting called that when we release a song.
I love it.
But I did that to Nate all the time when we were making it. I would just like,
name it something weird.
Yeah, like I don't even remember now. I mean, I'll just say like, oh, lettuce wedgie or something. You know what I mean?
That was the second choice. I was going to pick lettuce wedgie for this show, but Twisted Rooster won.
Yeah, but like I'll just pick a name, soapy fingernails. I'll just call it something to reference. And strangely, my brain will connect it with that idea so I know what it is. So when you say Twisted Rooster, I remember exactly like what track you're talking about.
Yeah.
If I call it track 34, track 35, track 36, like we're not, I wouldn't have which one did you pick? But when you say I picked Twisted Rooster, I'm like, oh, that one?
Yeah.
I know exactly what Twisted Rooster is.
It was great. I picked it. I was like, this is fantastic. And I'm like, can I use it? You're like, yeah, use it. I'm like, what can I pay you? You're like, yeah, it's fine. It's a free
It was
gift.
not going anywhere. I just made that.
But it's like, but I got like this like designer like Tommee Profitt track for my podcast, and I'm like, hey, that's cool. That's cool. It will be Twisted Rooster forever. We're never.
Let's update it sometime.
No,
give me a chance.
I'll give you a chance. Okay,
I'll make you something new.
Okay, cool.
That's not quite so.
We'll
dumpster at whatever you said.
I like the street cred of the dumpster diving, but we'll do something new. The other thing that we got a chance to do this year, and then I want to get to some of your newer stuff. But the thing we got to do this year is with I Can Only Imagine 2 coming out. We were designing the trailer, and they're throwing around a lot of ideas, and we had explored some different things of songs to use for the trailer. A lot of times, what they'll do, the modern trend is they'll take a song that is a hit song and they'll trailerize it, which gives it this big cinematic universe that's kind of a reimagining of the song, and it's its own art form. It's amazing. But the studio came back and they said, we actually want to use Even If for the trailer, the song Even If, and that's really the song that the movie's based on, and it's really just exploration of the making of that song. And so I was like listening to it, and I was like, man, it needs to sound big. It needs to sound trailerized. And I was like, I talked to Lionsgate. I was like, if I happen to be friends with Tommee Profitt, and they're like, Tommee Profitt, they perked up. Tommee Profitt. I'm like, yeah, if I happen to be friends with Tommee Profitt and I could talk him in to doing this, would you guys be interested? Like 100%. So I called you and I was like, hey, Tommee, would you listen to the song, see if I know you don't have any time because you were in the middle of this epic project we're going to talk about in a minute. So I knew you didn't have any time. But I was like, could you listen to the song and see if you have a take on it? And you listen to it, you're like, oh yeah, totally got a take. I'm interested in doing it. And I was like, great. So we work out the deal for you to do it. You're like, I don't have a lot of time, but I'll figure it out. We'll slate it in somewhere. When do I have to have it done? And I said, yeah, that's the thing. I just talked to Lionsgate. I need it done next week. And you're like, oh dear Lord. You're like, and then you said the most bad A thing I've ever heard. You're like, well, I've never missed a deadline. We'll do it.
It's true. Of all the stress of deadlines, right? Like they're always met, right?
Yeah.
And people freak out about deadlines, but we always get it done.
You did, and you stepped into it. You made this epic track that is awesome. You hit your deadline, and the thing I remember was sitting in your studio, and you sat me down in your captain's chair, and let me listen to it. And you hit the space bar, and it played, and I had tears in my eyes. And I'm like, that's perfection. And in a world where my job is to give notes, I just got to the end of it. I was like, no notes. It's perfect. Just lock it.
That was the best. You threw your arms up in the air. Yeah. You said, it's perfect. You gave me a big hug and you were crying. No notes.
No notes.
Like, let me just tell you how much that meant to me, because in a world where I'm receiving notes constantly, right? From everyone that wants to change everything. That was like a very rare situation where it was just like, it just was a perfect scenario for that song. Kind of already has a cinematic feeling to it. It was very easy to make a cinematic version of it. Right. Kind of already has a bunch of stuff in it, but it just lent itself to a trailer version, and I had so much fun. It was crazy, but you actually called me at the perfect time too, because I was in the middle of this huge project and I was just so intensely in it. I needed to step out for a few days and I needed a break. You know what I mean? And so if you had called me honestly a week before or after that, I probably wouldn't have been able to do it. So it was just such a perfect timing thing. And yeah, that was super fun to have you come over and listen to it. And I love how it turned out.
Dude, I loved what you did. You had a singer, it was Brooke, that came over, and one of your frequent collaborators. And you're really great with female vocalists, which you've done with Flurry and a bunch of others. but Brooke came over and sang, and then we combined it with John Michael's actual vocals and did this cool harmony. So I was so proud of it. And so then they put it in the trailer, and it's perfect in the trailer. It made the trailer epic. It really made our trailer pop. Lionsgate was freaking out. They're like, this is amazing. This is amazing. I was like, you may have spoiled them. But we haven't ever been able to release it in its entirety to be heard. So a special treat right now on the podcast.
Man. Right now.
You get to enjoy the trailerized version of Even If. Check this out.
They say sometimes you win some, sometimes you lose some. And right now I'm losing bad. I've stood on this stage night after night, reminding the broken it'll be alright. But right now, right now I just can't. It's easy to sing when there's nothing to bring me down. But what will I say when I'm held to the flame like I am right now? I know you're able and I know you can.
All right, so that's it. So it's pretty awesome.
So fun.
It's pretty awesome. Yeah. Were you surprised, like, finding the sound and like figuring it out? Like,
I just wanted to make sure that it felt. I knew exactly what. Yeah, and I had seen the trailer, right, with the, like a temp in there, so I knew exactly what it needed to be. Honestly,
right.
That's why some songs you might hear. Some people have asked me, "Can you do a trailer version of this song or this song?" And it's like, it'd just be tough to figure out that one. Sometimes when someone sends me a song, my brain like explodes with ideas and I know exactly what I want to do. And I think that happened for this song where I just knew like the booms and, you know, my favorite thing to do in the world is to make a song that starts this small.
Yeah, you do.
And then ends this big. And I've always done that since I was a kid. And so it's kind of like, it's perfect for trailers. It just has worked out that way, you know?
Yeah. I love that you did the one, Chasing Cars. You did a cover of that, and it was just so good because it started so small and it ended so huge. And that build, it's like the scaling the mountain. So yeah, you guys got a real treat to hear that. I'm excited to say that it's going to be on our Inspired album that's coming out with Imagine 2. It's going to be amazing. Kind of switching gears, you know, one of the things that I've liked about just our friendship is we've kind of been on parallel paths in a lot of regards. And you were going through a transition a few years ago, exact same time I was, where, you know, we've got frequent collaborators that we've worked with, you know, and you've had yours, I've had mine and my brother, and we were at a kind of a crossroads where we were really feeling led to make the jump into like, who are we as individuals? Who are we as an artist?
Mm-hmm.
and stepping out on our own. And sometimes you start the game with certain people, and then the roads just kind of naturally diverge from each other. And so we were kind of exploring stepping out into that scary territory of like, who am I if I'm not attached to XYZ?
Mm-hmm.
And for me, it was like my brother. It was like, John and I had chased things as the Erwin brothers for years. And then John really felt led to go towards streaming and all that type of stuff. And he's got his House of David show, and it's amazing. And I felt really committed to theatrical. And for a while, that was like a big disagreement. And then it became like, well, why can't we do our thing? And then you kind of let each other kind of go and then cheer each other on. But it's that scary transition. And you were going through the same thing where you were starting to kind of explore, I've got some itches that I need to scratch, that I feel led to something different. And it was a really encouraging journey for me because I felt a lot less alone, because we would share stories with each other, and it was like, oh my gosh, I know how that feels. But it was just like a mirror image. As you stepped out and just started to explore that, were you scared to chase some of those things? Was there any self-doubt, like, who am I as, my own artist? And then talk about how that led to Birth of the King.
Well, I remember that I've always made my own music.
Sure.
Since I was a kid, right? In the basement.
Right.
I made my own projects. I sold CDs at my church and my school, and then through college, I produced albums and traveled with a band. And most people don't know about that part of my life. Like,
sure.
I toured for 15 years, or 10 years, 12 years, and played over 1,000 shows. Like, I was out doing it. And then it wasn't until 2013 or so that I started producing other people for the first time. So when I started doing that, I always held on to my own projects as well in tandem. So I never just poured into only producing for other people, because I would go crazy if I couldn't have an outlet for my own ideas. I had so many ideas that I've always wanted to do. And it's just a different mindset, because when I'm producing for an artist, it's my job is to make their vision come to life, whatever it is. And if I make a track and they're like, hey, I don't like that sound, can you take that sound out? Like, my job's not to argue that I like the sound in it. It's their song. It's on their album. They're going to tour it, right? So that's how I approach those projects. But I need some time for undictated creativity, where I can do...
Dude, that's the coolest term I've ever heard. Undictated creativity.
Yeah, where I can sit in the studio and I don't have anyone saying, I don't like that chord, or I don't like that sound, or can we do this or change this? And you're just a button pusher for someone else. Like, when you said, like, you would probably do a dark version of Ring Around the Rosie. It's like, if I have that idea, like, I have to do it. It's like a fulfillment of expression somehow. Weird. And so I remember early on when I first moved to Nashville, this other producer that lives in Nashville said, dude, I just saw that video you posted of your song. I'm like, he goes, how do you have time to do like your own stuff while you're doing that? I'm like, and I told him, I was like, dude, I have to guard that time. I need time to do like these projects, or else I'd go crazy. You know what I mean? He goes, man, I wish I had the discipline to do that, and whatever. It was just kind of, he left that conversation, but I've always held on to that. So, I've released 15 albums of cinematic music while producing for these other artists.
And they're all incredible.
And what has happened is, over time, both things started to grow. Nate's music was growing. The other artists I was working with were, getting bigger and requiring more time. All of that was requiring more time. But my own stuff on the side here, it felt like an untended to garden that was growing and just starting to be overgrown. And it was really exciting for me, because I'm like, oh, this stuff is growing and I want to pour into that, but I'm working on this. And so I just reached a point where everything got too big. You have to just start cutting out, buckets. And so I don't know. I just like finally, it was kind of the place that I've always wanted to land, was like pouring into this when it made sense to do. Right. And it finally got to a point where it made sense to do that. In the last, it's been about like 3.5 years now or whatever. And it's been the most enjoyable, inspiring, creative time that I've ever had making music in my whole life.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and your cinematic covers have always been amazing. Like, you did like In the End, you did
Yeah.
that one and kind of broke Spotify with Flurry, and it was amazing, and have had all these iterations of that. And you've had all these beautiful cinematic ones. You've done some original and then some, reimagining of others. But then all of a sudden, The Birth of the King, this Christmas show album, kind of comes out of all this.
Mm-hmm.
And it's become a phenomenon. And like, for those that aren't familiar, like, which I'm pretty sure everybody's familiar at this point, but you brought this like live Hans Zimmer meets like, a epic concert, and it started at like the Opry, and you brought in all these friends that you've developed goodwill with and relationships over the years to record tracks, and then did this Christmas concert that has become iconic. Then you begin to sell out the Opry, and then last year you were at Bridgestone, and Bridgestone was amazing. And the footage of you there on the baby grand piano with this orchestra and choir and all these, it was amazing. Where did that idea come out of, and what was it like to like? What was the inner like passion? Like, this is a story I have to tell.
I mean, it's the whole thing is crazy because I've always had a thing for Christmas music. I've wanted to make that album for 15 years, literally. 2005 was a college assignment in a class to reharmonize A Christmas Carol.
Wow.
So I did one then, and I was like, man.
Which one did you do then?
I did, I called it Joy of the World 2.
No.
And I called it that kind of as a joke in college. But I ended up doing that on the album in 2020, 15 years later. I finally got around to making this album. And at that point, 15 years in, once you call something Joy of the World 2 for 15 years, it just stuck. So on the album, it's called Joy of the World 2. And I'm like, this is the best thing ever. Because like there might be a church somewhere that tries to do the song, and they're printing out chord charts to say Joy of the World 2. And it just makes me laugh.
It's better than lettuce wedgie, so
yeah, that's true. So dude, I finally got to make that album, and it was honestly, it was like when COVID hit and everyone was like, what is this thing happening? And everyone just kind of took a month to shut down. I had people for the first time just not coming to my studio every day. I'm like, oh, I got a month, I'll make that Christmas album. And then I didn't know it would, but it turned into a 6-month project of just 13 hours a day, just crazy, like just in my studio, just notepad, hair sticking up like a mad scientist, just like on the clock because Christmas is coming, with or without me, right? Like I had to finish by a calendar date, and while I was making that album in my studio, I'm sitting at my piano and I'm playing these arrangements, figuring them out, and I felt like it's weird, like on the right side there's just a black wall, and it was early in the morning, so it just felt like it went forever to nothing. And I had this vision of doing this Christmas album live, like at Bridgestone Arena.
Wow.
And I was like, well, that's crazy. I'll never do this live. I don't do live shows anymore. That was like in my 20s, I did those shows. But I'm like, I have Torrin Wells and Crowder and Carrie Joe, all these artists and all these singers, even my friends here in town, Flurry and Brooke. And I'm like, there's no way I could ever. The vision was so big and far away. The orchestra, the choir, like there's 200 people on stage, right? I'm like, there's an arena filled. I'm like, that's a crazy vision.
Yeah.
This would be such a cool Christmas show. And I've always liked, in college, I did big Christmas chapels, and I did these big Christmas events always, my whole life. At my church, I did big Christmas services, like all out. I'm like, that'd be so fun, but it will never happen. And dude, a year later, I just remember sitting on the couch with some of my team from Capitol, and they were like, what if we just start planning for a show? We actually did the first year at the Fisher Center.
Yeah.
And I was like, dude, that's like 1,500 seats. Like what?
Right.
We need like a 300 cap room for this, like if we try to do it. And they're like, what if we just plan it and just see what kind of roadblocks we hit? I'm like, all right, that's fair. So we just started planning, and we never hit one roadblock.
Wow.
And it was crazy. Like every artist that we asked, said yes. The camera crew, the orchestra, the choir, the production, like it was all lined up. It was ready to go. The last hurdle was going on sale and announcing this. And when you asked me about self-doubt, it was like, I know this would be such an amazing concert, but like, I don't think how would anyone else know that?
Yeah.
And like, who would come to this thing?
Yep.
And
a lot of people.
we almost pulled the plug the week we announced it. Cause I'm like, before we announce it, no one knows this is even going on. So we still have time to cancel. We were on a phone call the day before and we were like, should we do it? Should we not do it? And dude, even people on my team that like support me, they're like,
maybe we shouldn't.
They're like, this might look really bad. We're going to film this. So like, what if there's no one in the audience? We're going to have to pay for an audience to come in and paper the room. They're like, and I don't know what I'm doing. Right. So I'm like, it just felt like a homegrown operation from my basement. You know what I mean? And so me and my wife prayed about it. And we were like, I don't know why, but I feel like, my wife said this, I feel like you're supposed to do this. And secretly I was like, if it all went away, it'd kind of be a relief.
Yeah.
We'll never know what would have happened though.
Right.
And we're like, all right, I feel like it was such a strong nudging from God. I was like, that sounds weird to say. Sometimes people just can say that to confirm what they want to do. But I was in a place where I wasn't even sure if I wanted to do it. And I like lost tons of money the first year. I was like, it didn't make sense. There's no incentive for me to do it. But I just felt like there's something that's supposed to happen with it. And so we went on sale. I was terrified. I got on my knees in the studio 5 minutes before.
Wow.
And I just said, God, I give this whole event to you. I give everything to you. Like, do whatever you want through this thing. And I'm out of the driver's seat. And we went on sale. And that first show sold out in the first 24 hours.
Dang.
And it just blew us all away. And it was emotional. And we're like, what is happening? And I'm like, well, now we really have to do it, And that first year we filmed it, recorded it. And it was one of the most incredible like nights of my musical career life, And then that live album that we made came out the next year. And we posted clips of it. And those clips just spread everywhere, And what we didn't see happening, even that first year we had people from like 43 different states represented. Like people traveled, And I think that's the piece that is blowing our minds about the whole thing because you can't.
Yeah, they're coming from all over the place for these things.
Yeah, now, this past year, which fast forward, sorry, I'm long-winded on this. I could talk forever about this because it's such an amazing thing like that, like guys did and is doing that I'm still like in shock about it. But like 3 years from that first night, we just did it at Bridgestone. For the first time. And it was like that vision that was like, I thought maybe in 10 years we could get there. And it was in 3 and people from all 50 states and 15 different countries, like flew from all over the world.
As your friend, I waited too long to get my ticket and I could not get a seat. Like I was like, oh, I got to go to Tommy's thing. I tried to find tickets everywhere. I could not get a ticket. It was like a hot item.
I just don't get, it sold out in like a couple of weeks, a year ahead to people all over the world. And I'm like, what is happening? This is just something I made at my house. Like I didn't think anyone would find it.
Yeah.
I remember making it and thinking like, I hope one kid somewhere in the world like finds this and has it as his Christmas album. Like I had Christmas albums when I was a kid, right? I like listen every year, you pull them out. It's a recurring thing. I'm like, if I could just make an album that one person would listen to every year, like that was like a dream for me as a Christmas music lover, right? As I described. And I'm like, it would be so fun. And so like, it's overwhelming that like all these people found out about it and they know, and you can't really ask people to travel.
Yeah.
Like they just have to do that on their own, like will and desire to do that. And so I don't know why they're doing it, but what's really cool is my, one of my like pastor mentor friends said, when Jesus was born, people traveled to the place and to one place to celebrate his birth. He goes, it's kind of a cool picture of what's happening. Like we're all traveling to Bridgestone for one thing to celebrate one thing. And it's all about that one thing. And it was just a cool picture about how we're traveling to celebrate the birth, just like when it happened,
that's where it gives me chills, because then this past year we have a group of friends that we hang together pretty regularly, share ideas, and just encourage each other. And you came into one of those groups and you're like, guys, I can't shake this idea in my head that I'm supposed to do an album on the resurrection. And I keep trying to talk God out of it. And he keeps bringing ideas to mind that pour out of me. And it breaks me down to tears. And I just find myself writing music. Talk to me about where the resurrection idea came from. And you're in the midst right now of finishing that album. In fact, I'm taking you away from doing that because you were supposed to have it delivered on Friday.
It was supposed
and you've
to be
been
done.
working like around the clock to finish. And I'm the distraction here.
This is good. I need a break.
But like, where did the resurrection idea come from? And what was it that was touching your soul so much that was bringing you to tears?
All right. This is what's crazy. In the back of my mind, the idea of doing like The Birth of a King came out, and I was like, oh, doing an Easter album called The Resurrection of a King would be a really cool pairing to complete the story. But I was like, well, what would that be? Because there aren't Easter songs the same way there are Christmas songs. You know what I mean? I'm like, everyone knows these Christmas carols. So like, what would I do? I don't want to just do covers of like CCM artists. So like, I don't know what it would be. And I was just like, someday, again, maybe in 10 years I'll do that. But I'm like, that would be a lot of pressure to do a follow-up, you know? And so, dude, it was actually at the night after my Christmas show in 2024, a year ago. It was just a crazy night for a lot of reasons. We won't get into it. But I came home and I was in bed and I couldn't sleep. It seems to be where God gives me a lot of things. And the whole vision was unlocked.
Wow.
It was after the show, through the show, by the show. It just all culminated into being like, duh, I know what it would be. Like The Birth of a King was old songs that were made in a new and fresh way.
Yeah.
And that's what, for this to feel like a proper sequel, I want it to be like a movie sequel because it feels like a movie soundtrack. For it to feel like a sequel, it has to be old songs about the cross and the blood, but reimagined wildly to feel new and fresh.
Wow.
I'm like, hymns.
Wow.
Hymns. How many hymns do we have about the cross and the blood of Jesus? But I'm like, that's hard. How do you redo like Old Rugged Cross to make it feel like The Birth of a King? Like genre, the style of music, right? Cinematic and hip hop and 808s and gospel. How do you do that? So I sat down and I tried one idea and it worked.
Which idea was it?
It was there's power in the blood.
Yeah.
And instantly I'm like, okay, well, this is going to be Crowder. He doesn't know yet. I hope he'll say yes, but this has to be Crowder. So I made it in this like hip hop kind of way.
Oh.
And what I did was I just took the lyrics and made a brand new song.
Wow.
Because, and then I was like, well, anyone could just do it with one song. I found the right one. Let me try another one. And I tried another one and something amazing happened. I was like, all right, 2, and I just kept going. And I was secretly, like you said, I was secretly hoping I would strike out so I didn't have to do it because I was just wrestling with it for a long time. And it just kept going. And now it's a 19-song album.
Wow.
And it's just hymns that, I always say wildly reimagined, emphasis on the wildly. Mm-hmm. Like they're new songs. There's a couple that I took I know enough about these familiar songs to know the parts people want to hear and would be upset if you change.
Yep.
Like How Great Thou Art some of the hymns are very Easter on the nose, like at the cross and Jesus paid it all. It's all about that. But then there's other hymns that are like Easter adjacent. Yeah. That like How Great Thou Art is more of a response to what he did. Right. And there's a verse that says, when I think that God, his son not sparing, sent him to die, I scarce can take it in. Like that line, I'm like, okay, well, that wraps into the resurrection. And I took that hymn and I'm like, if I changed, then sings my soul, like that part, people want to belt that. Yeah. So I know enough to like know, all right, that needs to stay true. That
Yeah.
needs to stay familiar. I need to nod to that. But then, like, dude, like, Old Rugged Cross,
Yeah.
no one would care if I changed it. So I changed it wildly.
Wow.
Because I read the words and it's very, even Just As I Am. That's probably the one I'm most excited about as far as, you know that hymn, right?
Sure.
It's sung so, like, you'd think, all right, we need to go to an old church to hear the choir singing, Just As I Am Without. So I took that song and I'm reading the lyrics and it's like talking about my one dark blot and this like very rugged lyrics, just like Old Rugged Cross. So I took the lyrics and I just kind of made like it's like gospel rock song with John Reddick riffing and ad-libbing over a choir that's like belting this new hook. And I just took
incredible.
Lyrics and made new songs with the concepts from these hymns. And I can't believe like it like worked, because I just thought that some of these hymns would be really hard to like swallow like today, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it ended up being something I wrestled with making. Like you said, I just kept like feeling emotional, and God kept just like pounding me over the head, like through conversations with friends, through sermons I would hear, or watching videos even on YouTube. Someone would say something that just kept penetrating. It was like God was sending all his arrows, like, you're supposed to do this. And I finally, like, it turned from hesitantly trying it out and hoping I was kind of secretly hoping I would, just strike out. And I just kept downloading ideas that I felt like I was being shown, you know what I mean? And so now I feel like it's shifted into excitement and inspiration, and like I can't wait. Like it's my favorite thing that I've ever done. And I'm almost mourning the process.
Yeah, that it's almost
being over, because I'm like, I can't do this again. Like there's nothing, it's completed. Those two things will always live as like two of my favorite things I've ever gotten to do. And the process was such a that's a whole other podcast for another time. The process of doing it and just how meaningful and emotional and powerful it was.
That emotion you talked about, the tears that were forced out, and kind of the idea of stepping into this sacred ground of the resurrection, because the resurrection, like, and it's amazing. You would think that there would be resurrection albums, because we spend so much time on Christmas and so much music on Christmas, that the resurrection is what was the game changer.
Right.
It was, the birth of the king is there is a king that came to die. And if he stayed dead, then this means nothing.
Right.
But if he rose from the dead, like he's God, and he can do whatever he wants.
Right.
So the idea of the resurrection, that sacred turf, taking that on, where did the tears come? Like what was triggering the tears for you?
I mean, I think I was just in such a tuned in to the Holy Spirit place like I had never experienced. And I know it sounds weird, like I could get emotional now talking about it. Like I can't really expect people to understand, like, you know what that's like when you have an experience and you try to tell someone, like, you had to be there.
Yep.
You had to feel it. Like when I said like God was like downloading me an idea, I literally felt like he was showing me what he wanted me to make. It wasn't just me coming up with an idea. I felt like I was just getting to hear it before everyone else. And as I was making it, it was just so like the birth, him coming is powerful. That's what the birth of a king is about. But him coming to do the thing is only half, like you said. Like him doing the thing is arguably more powerful.
Yep.
And the weight of it. And I think just feeling the weight of what he did and what that means on a deeper level is what impacted me so much. You know what I mean? I was just like overwhelmed. And then we filmed these videos for the song, and Phil Wickham is on one of the songs. And we're in a room and he's singing, this song, and I'm playing the piano. We have an orchestra and choir, and we're performing this song. And it gets over, and Phil has tears in his eyes, and he goes, guys, like, this is true. Like, he really did it. He is. Wow. He did. The song's called He Arose. He's like, he arose. It's true. That's what's crazy about this. And he had tears, like he was feeling it. It's like, wow, just powerful, and it's the nature of, there's powerful music that can just live on its own in movies and TV shows. And then there's powerful singers, which can just always make something sound great. and then there's this powerful message.
Yeah.
And when you put all three of those things together,
That's the symphony.
That's like the trifecta of like, this is overwhelming emotionally and powerful. I mean, some of the best vocal performances I've ever heard on anything. These singers are just crazy.
That's cool.
And some of them are well known, and some of them no one has ever heard of. But they're all just hitting these performances of a lifetime. You know what I mean? And just, I had the idea of like, man, are these songs too big? And then I'm like, there's nothing about the resurrection that should be whispered. Like, this needs to be proclaimed loudly. And that's what this album is. It's a loud proclamation of the resurrection.
Well, the proclamation, the thing that's interesting too to find out is that it's a God thing when God downloads a similar urgency to different people in the same vein, all at the same time, not connected. So the fact that you're working on this resurrection album, the fact that Dallas Jenkins is about to go into production on The Chosen season 7, which is the resurrection. The fact that Mel Gibson right now is in the midst of making 2 films at the same time on the resurrection with Lionsgate, like all that's happening, percolating at the same time. It just seems like there's an urgency to God saying, "Pay attention to this. We need to think about this," and that's exciting.
What's really crazy too is when this was in the summer when I started dabbling with those ideas. And I was like, maybe this could be a 2027 thing. I'll just take my time, figure out what it's going to be. And I felt that same urgency where it was like, nope, this is supposed to be a 2026 thing. And I wrestled with that. I was like, are you sure?
Yeah.
I'm like wrestling with that. Are you sure this is supposed to be? Because that's a lot of work.
Yeah.
And my wife was just super encouraging. Like, he wouldn't ask you to do something and then not help you finish it and not help you get it done. So just work one day at a time. And dude, the green lights. Remember how I set out, let's see what kind of roadblocks for the Christmas show? For this album, there were just more green lights making it with people that were available immediately to record. And the songs came
incredible.
Quickly. And the choir and like everything came so like, it was a ton of work. It wasn't rushed by any means. It was 7 months almost of like production. But like, it just came together in such a way that the green lights had to have been God opening doors as well for the people he wanted on it and the way that it all worked. And I think another reason, dude, just to be vulnerable, like for the emotion behind it all. I used to be a worship leader, right? In my past life and like traveling. I led worship and traveled for over 10 years and did ministry. And then my job changed, where I just started making music for other artists and TV and film and making movies and video games and like video game music. So it's just a job shift. My heart never changed throughout that.
Wow.
But the reason that was frustrating in the past was like, I'm just not that good of a singer. Like I could mediocrely get it done to lead worship, right?
Right.
Like God can use that still. But like, I'm not, CeCe Winans. Like I'm not Phil Wickham. I don't have those voices. So I remember wrestling with that, and I got off like stage one time at this big event that I played at, and I was just like really frustrated because my voice was giving me trouble, and I had lots of issues, and I was like, I don't understand why he would call me to be a worship leader, which was a very much life calling on my heart.
Wow.
And then not give me the voice to do it, right? And that was a hard thing for me. Like, I know I'm supposed to lead worship, and I can't sing well like I want to do these, to do it well. And it was just this last month, dude, as I'm finishing this Easter album, I remembered that God asked Moses to lead.
Wow.
And when he asked Moses to lead, what was his first thing?
I can't speak.
I don't have the voice for that. I can't do that. And he goes, well, I'll give you Aaron. That's easy. Like God just came up with a solution. He's, oh, well, your brother's really good at it. Here's Aaron. He'll come with you. Of course, Aaron also had to say yes and be willing, right? And I had this like full circle moment where I'm like, oh my gosh, like he's providing me Aaron's.
Wow.
He's like, all right, you're not the best singer, but I'm going to provide the best singers in the world. And you get to lead worship with them together on these projects and at this Christmas show, and they will be your Aaron. And they have the voice. I mean, the best singers in the world, dude. Like, and I feel that's why I'm emotional, because I'm like, not only has God created such a unique, creative way for me to do what he's called me to do that I could never have. Like, imagine me at 20 years old thinking, hey, I'm not that good of a singer, but what if later I can like lead worship and CeCe Winans will sing for me and Phil Wickham will sing for me and Crowder and Tomlin and like, that's not a thing. Like, God orchestrated that and just put it together somehow crazily. But then all those people have to be willing also. Every artist that sings at that Christmas show that's terrified backstage because the songs are so hard and high and crazy, they all say yes to come along and to fulfill this calling and this vision. And it's like, that's emotional for me. It's like hard for me to like accept that it's happening like that. You know what I'm saying?
That's awesome. So at what point are we expecting a resurrection live show?
I have no plans.
I
mean, we'll see.
Maybe God amended you delivering the album 26 because 27 needs to be the live show. I'm just saying, you know.
Everyone, obviously, that's what everyone's asking.
Yes.
I have no idea. I'm like, you guys are asking for a live show. It's not even out yet. You haven't even heard it yet.
It's going to be great.
You might not want a live show.
It's going to be great.
So I don't know.
There's no maybe. It's going to happen.
I don't know yet. I genuinely, we haven't had the conversations.
Yeah.
I'm trying to finish the album first.
For sure.
Like, it's not even done.
I'm trying to not distract you, but yeah, go ahead.
So I'm in the headspace of just get the album done. We'll have talks later, I guess, but like I don't know. It'd be really hard, but that dream of doing the Christmas show felt impossible. And like, I think God is literally like daring me to dream bigger with things. And when he wants to do something, there's not a human that can stop what he wants to do.
Dude, chills. The thing I love about you is at your core, you are a storyteller. Like, you know, you're able to orchestrate with how you arrange the music, this story that has a lot of anger and something to say. And I think the thing with the Moses thing that you talked about, what made him special was he had a lot of anger and he had a passion for his people, to deliver his people. He tried to do it his own way for a while, screwed that up, and then finally came back really humbled, like you talk about, and saying, God, how do you want to do this? And God gave him something to say. And he told his story. And God put him before kings to tell his story. And so I love that when I listen to your music, like I feel the anger of what you're trying to say. And I think that's a powerful, powerful concept. So I love it. I can't wait to hear the new album. And I can't wait until we figure out a way to do a movie together. But man,
yes,
got a ton of respect.
Thanks, man. Likewise.
Just to end on a fun note, I always like to end on something that kind of goes back to just something just fun and cinematic and just movie oriented. So now that we've established that you live in the Batcave, you are Batman. The Batman movies, what order would you rank the movies that have been made on Batman?
Look,
1 to 5.
Wait, 5?
Okay, just top three. I'll just go to 3.
Oh, yeah. You're completely not even considering. Well, which 5 are you talking about?
There could be any.
There's 8.
It could be 8. I mean, if you want to rank them 1 to 8, I'm just saying the 5.
Batman and Robin shouldn't even be in the conversation.
Yeah, I throw that out. Sorry, Chris O'Donnell.
Okay, listen.
And George Clooney.
I will need a refresh because I honestly haven't watched the Nolan trilogy in a long time. I remember I loved it. And I know that's hailed as but dude, as a dark cave person, I just rewatched The Batman.
Yes.
I freaking love that movie.
Michael Keaton is Batman.
No, not like,
which one? Oh, the one, the new
Pattinson.
One, the Robert Pattinson one.
Now listen, I know that's a hot take.
Wow,
but listen, they got the feel of Gotham perfect. The dark, because even the Michael Keaton one, like it was kind of. There's something Universal Studios about it. When I say that, I mean like the theme park. There's just something theme parky about the old Batman movies. Christopher Nolan did a really cool, like, feels like real life Batman movie feeling, which is amazing. But like the new one, it's like the Joker with Joaquin Phoenix. That feel, that's what Batman. And now,
Right.
you've been to my studio. This is such a nerd thing I'm about to confess. I read comics. I don't really read superhero comics usually. There's a whole world of comics of just good stories, like crime thrillers and dramas and really good stuff. But I challenged myself to read through the entire arc of Batman comic history. Not every single issue, but all the big main arcs.
Canon.
So I started in 1988 with Batman Year One and went all the way through basically when they hit New 52.
Right.
No one knows what I'm talking about. 2015.
It's so good.
2015. And then they relaunched Batman, and I've read a couple of those things. But that first run, the original run of Batman, all through the 90s and early 2000s, I read through all of that stuff. And it's so good. Like, it's actually just good storytelling. It's not like cheesy. It's not superhero-y. Because Batman really doesn't have superpowers, right? It's very grounded.
Yeah, he's a man.
And it's a lot about overcoming obstacles. You ask me why I like Batman. Maybe this is the answer. It's just overcoming obstacles. He never quits. He never fails. And he has a moral compass that is just absolutely rock solid, right? He never kills. He's so smart. He knows the right thing to do. And like Gotham City and the people in Gotham City are just a mess.
Yeah.
And there were earthquakes and villains that have come in and destroyed everything, and like he's the guy that fixes problems, and he's so but it's so dark. And I feel like the Batman with Robert Pattinson really painted a really awesome picture of like Gotham and this dark world of what it should feel like. And dude, some of the things they came up with, I just thought were super cool.
Well, the other thing that they did is, I've always felt like, Nolan's Batman, like I love The Dark Knight. I think The Dark Knight's great, but I think it's the better vehicle for the Joker. But with it's always been the Batman has always been about Batman himself. The Batman really lets you get to know Bruce Wayne, and you got to see the human behind the cowl.
Well, he was a young Batman, early on in his Batman career, so it showed it working out the kinks.
The other thing that I liked that what Matt Reeves, the director for that one, did is it was based very much inspired by a piece of music. And so that Nirvana song that they feature that they reimagined for the film, he listened to that on a loop while he was writing it. It was all featured through the story that song was communicating. So you feel it in the DNA of every scene in the movie.
That's exactly what I'm talking about. That feel from that song perfectly encompasses what Batman and Gotham City should feel like to me. So I think that's just why I appreciated it. It was just it was just very, I don't know, it was just done really well, modern 4K. Like I just, I am into that stuff. But I will confess, I haven't watched the Christopher Nolan Batman movies literally in probably 15 years.
Wow.
Like I haven't seen them again. So let me rewatch them and I'll get back to you to make sure that I still stand by what I said.
For me, it's a photo finish. The Dark Knight's my favorite. But I will say that the Batman was impressive. I did not expect to love it as much as I did, and I'm excited to see where they go with it next.
And it was a detective story.
Yeah, it was. It was crime noir. It was crime noir.
That's what Batman is. It kind of got turned into other things over the years, but like
it's crime noir.
At its heart, it's crime noir detective stories.
Yeah, it's incredible. Well, I respect your storytelling sense, and man, I appreciate you carving out some time in your day because I know you've got a million things going on finishing the album.
Yeah,
but I can't wait to hear what you've finished because it's going to be epic and it's going to be awesome. And when you do the live show, I'll be the first buying a ticket. So
amazing.
Appreciate you, buddy. Thanks for being on the show.
Thanks for having me.
So that's the show. I want to thank Tommee for being a part of it. Love that guy. I love his passion for storytelling through music. And, I just think the thing about Tommee's story that I love is this path that God has us on as creatives. And to hear him talk about like starting as a worship leader and feeling like I don't have a voice. And then all these years later, for God to bring him to a new calling with everything he's doing with the birth of the King, the resurrection of the King, and his music, but to bring all these voices to be there, to be a part of the stories that he's telling through his music. And I just think that a lot of times God calls us to something that we don't feel qualified for at first. We don't feel like we have all the talents necessary to be able to do that. But he gives us this passion and this inner anger in life, the hardships that we go through, give us a story to tell, something that we're passionate about telling. And with Tommee's, I just think that is evident. And I think that's why people are flying from around the world to be in arenas to hear his music. So be encouraged as you continue to chase your stories. Be committed to the path and to see what God is going to do to enable you to tell the stories he has for you. So that's the show. Thanks for being with us. We'll see you on the next edition of The Storytellers.
The Storytellers is a Kingdom Story Company production. It is produced by Nick Carey and Beecher Proch with production assistance from Ben and Justin Bailey. Our executive producers are Brandon Gregory and Joshua Walsh. Social media for the show is run by the Troops and Allies team. Our music is Twisted Rooster by Tommee Profitt. Special thanks to our entire team at Kingdom Story Company. To make sure you never miss out on any of our exciting guests, subscribe to The Storytellers on YouTube at Kingdom Story Company or wherever you listen to podcasts. For exclusive first looks at our upcoming films, behind-the-scenes content, and invitations to advanced screenings, join the conversation as a Kingdom Insider at kingdomstorycompany.com. As always, thanks for joining Andrew Erwin and his friends on The Storytellers.